So my blog today is about the bot attack. Well, yesterday was a day that I should have expected as it was so near the eclipse. While the Mercury retrograde is in Aries, the North Node is in Aries, Chiron is in Aries, and solar eclipse on the 8th is also in Aries, I expected dramatic and that things would demand my attention immediately. However, I did warn everybody that such things can cause sudden surprises to happen. And that was the case. Thank God for guides and angels. So I just happened to be on my email and I suddenly noticed that I have a new website that, God, we've been working on for like a year and a half. It's amazing how these things take so much time. And we did a membership fee site. And so we just barely put up this membership site like the end of March. And and I've got like 5-6 people on it. It's not a big deal. But what I was doing was I was basically trying to kind of like try something new and, try to be innovative and with the changing of the astrology and the changing of everything that's going on and kind of deal with the fact that technology is going to be changing. And so I needed a new website and all these things that are essential as we move forward that we have to keep technologically on top of things. Well, we shifted over to a site that's called WordPress Engine, which was supposed to have more security, more stability. It was more expensive. And I had a lot of problems when I was working with my older system. And so we also had, in this membership site, we had used Stripe, which is a new system also for, bringing money in and taking the money and taking the credit cards so that, I'm not in the middle of any of that. So it just so happened that I was looking at my email and suddenly noticed that there were all these emails showing up that were saying somebody's bought a membership, somebody's bought a membership, somebody's bought a membership, and that's not been happening at all. And so I immediately went on Stripe and looked at it and was like, what the hell? Because you could see that it was like blocked, pending, blocked. And you started seeing that they were, that it was a bot. And I immediately called my webmaster, who thank goodness was available. And she was on the phone with WordPress Engine. Then we were trying to get a hold of Stripe, which is one of these horrible things in modern times that you can't get a hold of an actual person. And so, you're trying to deal with all these things and nothing is happening and you can't get a hold of anybody to get any information. And the information that they're giving is, again, probably a machine and not giving you what you really need. And so we immediately turned off this thing. Now you have to understand the button on my website, when it started, it was probably, by the time I got everybody involved, it probably had been up 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. That's how fast I was on it. And in that 25, 30 minutes, there were 500 hits of an email, 500 hits of emails. And I'm letting everybody know this because what these bots did, because I could see it on the system, was that if you use your first name, like mine, Suzanne, and then your email is Suzanne, and then you put some numbers after it, and then you put @gmail.com, which, by the way, 80% of these were Gmail. Just so everybody knows, if you have a Gmail account, you should really probably change your passwords and all of that. So anyway, what the bot does is it takes that name and then it just runs numbers. And then what it also had was that it had credit cards not associated with the email. This is where it gets interesting. So, if I sent an email to a person and said, this is what's happening and I'm explaining it on an email, please, check your credit card, blah, blah, blah. That email actually went nowhere most of the time, but the credit card number was still going through, even though it wasn't associated with the correct email, which was really interesting to me. So as a result, this has been a nightmare because, there were people that got charged on Stripe. And I immediately went in and refunded, but you can imagine how many this is trying to do, right? Now, out of fairness to WordPress Engine, and Stripe, and the banks. They caught 70% of them didn't go through. So 70% of them registered in some way that they weren't right, or they were fake, or something was wrong, or the systems did pick it up. But there was still 30% that were going through, which was the nightmare. And so as a result, it's like we turned off the button immediately so that it couldn't be used. Then WordPress engine, says, oh, by the way, you should have a bot blocker. Nobody told us we needed a bot blocker. This has never shown up. I mean, in my other website, I didn't have a bot blocker. When you had security, you had security, right? But I understand that there are all these new systems and these newfangled bots and everything that are out there. So needless to say, what my webmaster is working on is a bot blocker all weekend, and putting all these high security systems in the system, which we already had security. I'd already paid for security, but now I'm upping the security to the highest amount that I can possibly get. And this is actually what happened to me. Gosh, in 2020, it happened also. And just so you know, at that time, I paid for a $5,000 firewall for all my sites and everything like that. And now I'm having to do this in another way again, even though I had up-leveled to a whole new system that was supposed to have all the security. So I tell everybody this because you need to make sure when you get your credit card things that you are not getting charged little bits of money. Now, what's so weird for me is these bots, the money was going into Stripe or coming to me, which is weird. And so it's not really going to the bot, but it's just mucking with the system. But I don't rule out that once they know that it can go one way, that they aren't going to try and pull it out another way. So I want everybody to go out there and look at their credit card receipts and start noticing, do you have these weird charges somewhere? And call up and find out, or send an email. And so fortunately, there were people out there that were really on top of it, and they immediately emailed me and said, I don't know who you are, but I just got a $7 charge from you. And so then I send the email and I'm explaining all of it, and I immediately go in and refund them. But I spent 4.5 hours yesterday refunding people, sending emails to all these people, even though some of the emails are fake emails that ended up coming back and saying this is not a real email. And so I want everybody to know that the bots are loose and these things are out there. And if you change your web page, if you change your security systems, you need bot blockers, and you need the top of the line security, because I'm like a nobody. I mean, I'm just a little nobody, but these bots just go out there and look for things. And, I know from 2016 to 2019 for sure, I had an older system that I could actually see where I was taking these hits, and I was getting these weird emails that weren't English perfect. They weren't English perfect. And I could tell where they were going. And even back then, which is why I bought the $5,000 firewall, it was coming from Ukraine, Belarus, Hungary, Poland, Russia, Lithuania, Latvia. So I was getting hit by the bots back then, randomly, chaotically, nonstop, with these weird emails with people saying weird things. And so just kind of know that it's been going on for a while. I shifted systems, thought I had upgraded to a better system in a better way, but I still need all this expensive technology just to keep my website safe. So needless to say, by Monday, we're going to have as the highest quality security we can possibly have on my website. But what's interesting is that they weren't hitting the website. They were hitting the button. They were actually hitting the button that was about, a membership thing. So Anyway, the button's gone at the moment. So the button is not up, and it won't be up until we get all the security and stuff inputted. But I wanted everybody to know, because I'm sure it's not just me, because I'm a nobody. And so if I'm just a small little person out there doing a small business, but then there's all these other people out there doing much bigger things, you can imagine how often they're taking hits. So be careful, check your credit cards. Don't have a lot of credit cards to keep track of, have a few credit cards. You probably want to go on, and I've done this from 2020. I did this. I went on Experian and all these credit reporting agencies, and I basically closed my not closed my accounts, but I closed it so that people couldn't borrow money. Like if you go into Experian and said, I want to borrow money, I want to buy a car, that you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to use my name or my social security number, and you won't be able to do it. I also have LifeLock. And so again, everybody should probably go get LifeLock and do all those things, because you have to send letters to the credit reporting agencies and say, please don't share my information. And I did all of that, and I did that years ago, and notice I'm still taking a hit. So I just wanted you to know. Thanks, everyone.